Good evening, y'all. Welcome to the Spiritual Speakeasy, where the bar is always open and the spirits are always served. And yes, they are. I am Julie. I'm the host of the podcast. I'm the paranormal courtesan, and I am also known as the psychopump of severance. Look it up if you don't know what that means or how to spell it. How are you all doing tonight? Excuse me. How are you all doing? Just want to give a shout out there to my coven and my friends, my family, everybody who's watching tonight. Tonight's going to be kind of a different kind of podcast. I have a coven sister who's very knowledgeable in what's going on planetary wise, and she basically sent me my script because I don't know shit about the planets, and I didn't even know what main phase it is, and it's up to my sisters to keep me in line there because I can't keep track of it. I know what I am, and I know what some other people are, and that's as far as I go with that. Sorry. Frog in my throat. So, what is going on? For those people that don't know and have not seen my other podcasts, we in 2025 let go of the snake. It had to shed its skin. That is still under motion. We are entering 2026, which is the year of the fire horse. And if you don't know what that is, it's kind of a direct line to where you need to be. And it's like, hold on tight and grab hold of the mane and get your stirrups in, because if you can't make it, hello. If you can't make it, if you can't hang on, you're not going to make it through the ride. And so the idea is to make it through this planetary system ride and stay on the horse to get to your end goal. That's the end goal, is to make it to your destination. So what I wanted to talk about today, because in my world of metaphysics, everything seems to be turning to shit and back, and there's huge waves, there's tsunamis, there's like all kinds of metaphysical stuffs going on, and even with clients. So my question was, why? Why is this going on? Why are we all like hanging on for a ride? I'm actually good through this one. This is probably the first time I've been good going through something. But I also had a lot of extra help going into this planetary shift with some spirits and some things that I work with. So I seem to be coming out of this one okay. But if you're not, give me a shout out and tell me what's going on, because, everybody likes to share what's going on with themselves. And God knows you're not going to be the only one that's buckling up for this. So here's some highlights of what's going on, and this is absolutely crazy. And I'm going to read some of it because I'm trying to go back and forth and look up at the camera. I got my stuff right here, so it won't be too distracting. The premature certainty trap is coming up on February 20th. So put that date on your calendar. Saturn and Neptune will meet at 0 degrees Aries. Now, I don't know much about Neptune except for the stories that I've read. I am an Aries, and I know this is going to be a shit meeting, right? This is the world point. It's a massive reset button. Well, of course, if Aries is going to walk in and, Neptune's got his little pitchfork thing, shit's going to get rough, right? So buckle up. There's going to be a meeting. We know how these meetings go, right? The warning: Saturn is about structure. Neptune is about dissolving. Neptune is going to try to do some shit, and Aries is going to be like, you're going to follow the rules, right? In the fiery sign of Aries, this can manifest as a sudden, desperate urge to say, I'm done. Fuck it. I'm over it. And when that happens, you're going to walk away from some stuff, whether you meant to walk away from that stuff or not, right? You're going to walk away from a job, a relationship, a long-time belief, maybe some good things like some trauma patterns and some negative self-talk and some things like that. But the problem is you can't just walk away when you get that walk away. Thank you for joining me. I have no idea what you said because I do not have Google Translate, but I appreciate you. Thank you. So anyway, with this going on, there's going to be that need to reset, burn the bridge, walk away, because that's Aries. That's what Aries does, right? And when Aries does that, it gets weird. So you're going to have the restraint to be able to, thank you. Hi. You're going to have the restraint to be able to decide, do I really need to walk away from this? Is this something I should walk away from? So the advice that's out there is for you to do just that. Ask yourself, am I leaving because the work is finished? Or because I can't sit with the uncertainty, that I can't sit with the unknowing, I can't sit with the uneasiness. You got to avoid the flight as courage, like, because it's going to come in like, I'm done, I won, I'm going to do this. And then you're going to walk and it's like, you're fucked and you shouldn't have done that. So think about it. Put yourself in that position where you can decide with a cool head, and not Aries, firing shit up, because, fire it up. We can get going on that. Our nervous system red line, we are currently in the solar maximum, and that means solar flares, geomagnetic stuff. That's why our cell phones haven't been working right. That's why messages aren't going out in times. That's why your radio is going down in your car. Your Bluetooth is screwing up. So that's going to happen. And the warning with this nervous system thing is coming February 17th. So the other was February 20th. This is February 17th. Combined with an Aquarius solar eclipse. Whoa. People may be feeling physically vibrating and anxious. That nervous energy where you bounce your foot and you can't stop. Exhaustion and have no reason. Like you're kicking back and, you're going, why? There's no reason for this. There's no reason for me to be antsy. There's no reason for my kids are behaving. My marriage is good. Everything is good. Why am I like on the verge of, and like you're anticipating something, the shoe's going to drop or something's going to fall, but you don't know when and you don't know what it is. That's that nervous kind of energy. Watch out for the galloping mind. It's going to race. It's going to take you places. And if you're one of those people that go down the rabbit hole and you can't control it, or you have troubles ruminating about what you've seen in the rabbit hole, this is the time to stay off social media. Watch my podcast first and then get off social media. That was a joke. But not really. So social media, make sure that you're not like buying into everything that you read, because it's gonna flare up and you're gonna get really nervous and really anxious about it. And then you're gonna start the spin, and the spin is never good. You don't want that spin. So stay off the internet, stay off your favorite news channels for a while. Just a few days. TikTok, those kind of things. Just kind of stay off of them for a minute, because it's going to dysregulate if you're already dysregulated. The internal combustion risk, the fire horse, is a double fire year. This is a double horse year, double fire year. Fire element and horse's natural heat. So when you put those two together in February, we are in transition. The earth energy of Capricorn comes into this fire, and that can lead us to emotional outbursts, burning bridges. What we do as Aries is we bring the gasoline can and we pour it along, and we stand in the middle and we light the match and we go boom, and we forget that we're standing in the middle of the fire we lit, and then it's an oh shit moment. So be really careful with those kind of things. Be really careful. Let's see. Advice. In feng shui, fire is balanced by earth and water, encouraging people to add earth to their rituals. If you are a witch, if you are a metaphysical practitioner and you do rituals of any kind, circles, make sure that you add earth into your rituals. That helps ground. It helps balance. Don't wear a lot of fire colors if you're a fiery person and tend to upset in planetary changes. You're going to wear beige and brown earth tones. And it's even okay, like, to pot some plants inside, like work with some dirt. Somehow that's a good thing. Gardening, cleaning up your yard, whatever you can do in the wintertime or whatever season it is, wherever you're living. The ghosting, deception, and alert. As Mercury passes, well, let me try that again. As Mercury enters Pisces and eventually stations, the retrograde happens the 26th. Hey, Carla, how are you? As Mercury enters Pisces and eventually stations, which will be the retrograde on February 26th. So now we've got the 17th, the 20th, and the 26th to pay attention to. Communication is going to get really foggy. Just as the fire horse demands speed, like, we're going to go by in a fuzzy mode. It's going to be a blur. So things are going to be, glad you stumbled on. Hey, we are too. We are too. It's going to be fuzzy, not fuzzy as in unclear, fuzzy like I don't understand. It's going to be like a blur, like the horse racing. Whew, that was like, whoo, real tunnely, and you're not going to see things for what there are. So there's going to be misperceptions and there's going to be illusions. Watch for that deception or self-delusion that people have not delivered. People are promising me things, but they're not following through. That's a big thing right now. And it's horrendous. Like, a lot of things can happen on the job. It can happen with our friends. It can happen anytime, just hanging out with our buddies. And so be careful that you're not sparking that delusion or deception. Make sure that you're not acting in a way where people feel ghosted, but also make sure that you clarify for those people who have ghosted, why are they ghosting and what's going on? Because remember, that horse is running through pretty damn fast. So you may have missed the cues that say that they're just struggling like the rest of us and being, whatever we are, day zombies or walkers or whatever. The advice: verify and just don't believe everything you're seeing and hearing. Get agreements in writing. Don't take a delay in communication personally. Everyone is squirming right now. I mean, this is a tough time. This is a crazy time. And anytime you get like Neptune with his like, fork, sorry, I'm Aries. And you meet with Aries, there's going to be an issue. And we all know, like, water and fire, like, one's going to put the other one out, or it's going to make it hard to start. And it's going to confine. And Aries does not want that. Aries, a fiery bitch, and we like to just light things up. And so that's kind of that point there. And I wanted to talk about that because if anybody has any questions, that's like super first and foremost on my mind. I wanted to get that information out to everybody because it is a whirlwind of shit right now. When you look at the media, there's a lot going on. When you look at the music, there's a lot going on. And then, you get to people and there's a lot of fear right now, a lot of things, a lot of anger, a lot of upset. And there's a lot of polarization. And so, again, that falls with that January, February switch, especially February with Neptune and Aries, the restart button. And then, the ghostings and the internal combustions and the galloping mind and the solar eclipse and all that going on. There's a lot of things that can go wrong in any relationship that we have with anybody else. And so please, 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 please take the time and the effort to support each other and be a little bit more kind going through this. I don't tell people all the time to hold hands and sing Kumbaya. That's not always a fun thing for me. Again, I'm the Aries. But I can tell you that right now people need support and be there and try to understand that there's more than one perception to everything, and yours may or may not be the correct perception. So give other people grace and also give yourself grace during this time. Like, if you need to just chill out and, whatever, smoke a little more, do a few more dabs, eat some edibles, whatever it is, then make sure you take care of yourself doing that. This station does not have anything to do with the illegal use of drugs in any way. I'm just blurting out things that I'm thinking of as they come to my head. So it does not represent the station or even my opinion at this point of time. There's my legal disclaimer. Any questions? When we look at the highlights for February, if you have a calendar in front of you, February, I really can't enunciate. February 1st, the full moon was in Leo. It was a snow moon with fire in its heart, and it was perfect for main character energy and rituals and visibility. This Friday is Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th is the day of the goddess. It's reclaiming feminine power and ancestral protection. February 17th is the new moon in Aquarius, the age of Aquarius. That was, I did not own or buy that song when I sung that there. It's a black canvas moment to set radical and revolutionary intentions. That's February 17th, the new moon in Aquarius. Also, the Lunar New Year, which is really good. Yay, Carla! Carla did. February 18th is the Diphanon of Hecate and the dark moon, the night for clearing out physical and spiritual clutter at the crossroads. So, you take it and you sort it out, and you've got to make your decisions. That's what the crossroads is all about. Making decisions and making choices that are going to affect the rest of your life. And so what are you going to keep open this year? What are you going to close this year? What road are you going to take? What path? What choices are you going to make? Late February, Saturn, Neptune conjunction, a rare alignment in Aries. It asks, how can we make our dreams? That's Neptune. We've been in sleep. We've been having dreams this whole time. And now it's time to, what can we do to make these things structured and real? We're waking up. Now comes, what are we going to do to all that stuff we thought was real, what we want, what we didn't want? How are we going to set that in motion? And then February 26th, Mercury in retrograde, Pisces. We're going to review old grimoires, deep intuitive listening. So what does that mean? Deep intuitive listening. That's a tough one. That means that sometimes there's messages that we get from things and people, and we don't necessarily want to hear them. Also means that sometimes our guides show us things that we don't necessarily want to see or deal with. And sometimes those things are real hard, and sometimes we have choices to make, and they're hard, dark choices. Shadow work is what most of us who are into craft call it. But the shadow work is not craft. I mean, shadow work is psychology. Goes way back. But if you use it the right way to make peace and create the yin and yang within yourself, the balance within yourself, it works out well. There's a lot of people that spend a lot of time fighting and battling their demons rather than just acknowledging the fact that they need to do better and they need to work better together and put the energy into something more productive. When you've done that, then you've mastered your demons, and you're master over yourself, which is what we need to be, is master over ourselves. I mean, whether you agree that there's a higher power or there's a god or goddess or whatever it is your belief system is, there's always a hierarchy. And, we are ultimately, whether there's divinity or not, and I'm not here to argue my belief system on that, but whether you do believe in divinity or not, we are still masters of our own bodies and minds. We should be, and we should be in control of those bodies and minds, because there's still a code to live by. And we need to make sure that we're adhering enough to that code that we're not doing harm to mankind, that we're actually being a better person and lighting the way for other people. So that's what I have to say about that. Triple goddess alignment. The way the dates fall this month, it creates a rare numerological, that's a big word. Probably should have some wine for that one. Numerological, there we go. And planetary bridge. No, I'm not. I'm actually drinking water. So tonight is water night. The maiden, February 1st to 12th, is the build up to the 13th, which is about preparation and purifying the hearth. You're getting everything ready to be set in motion. You know, when you've cooked in the hearth and the stew's run over and you've got stew drippings and you've got a lot of stuff in there, leftovers that have like fallen down in, you got to clean that out before you cook a big meal again. You got to clean it. So we're prepping the hearth. The mother, the queen, February 13th to the 17th, Friday the 13th through the solar eclipse. This is the peak of your manifestation power. This is when you give birth to the new version of yourself. So if you're thinking about, excuse me, recreating yourself, or you're thinking about any form of change, major change, persona, reality, this is a good time to step into the real self. Take down your mask, or if you're into masks and that's a thing for you, then change your mask. But do something different. This is the time to actually create a better version of yourself and try out the new things that you've learned throughout the last few years. And then the crone, which is the, excuse me, end of the month, February 18th to the 28th, as Saturn and Neptune move into Aries and Mercury goes retrograde. The energy shifts to wisdom and strategy. Remember, Aries is the god of war. You don't just rush in. There has to be strategy. There's a game plan. So it's going to shift into wisdom and strategy. And it's about looking at what you've created and deciding how you're going to defend it. Now, what does defend mean in that situation? Does it mean like somebody's going to be coming after you to take your shit? Or does it mean everybody is going to fight or flight against you, or things are going to get mad? No, it just means like anything else, you're going to have a principle and you're going to stand up for that principle. And if you choose to, you might have to explain that to yourself. You might have to defend yourself from past behaviors. You might have to take a look at yourself in that dark shadow work and go, is this really what I signed up for? Am I on the right track? No, you lost the track. You decided to chase something that you shouldn't have chased. You know, and the power to know what you're claiming and where you're at in that struggle and that journey, and be realistic about it. That's like the other part. You have to be realistic about it. Sorry. I am not AI. I wish I could speak clearer. So this kicks off. This kicked off the 1st of February, but officially the bullshit kicks off on the 17th. You know, that's the big meeting. And when you look at that, this is a huge major cycle reset. The why now is very simple. The transition period is over. The last few years, we have been clearing the basement, whether you realized it or not. And February 2026 is the day that the foundation is being poured for are you ready for this, folks? The next 3 decades of your life. 3 decades. So what you lay down right now is going to have to sustain the next 30 years. Now, for some of you that are just now tuning in and you don't know me, I'm 63 years old. So 30 years from now, I probably will not be doing this podcast. I will, not look even a quarter of as good as I do now. And, 93, think about that. Excuse me. So that's a lot when you think about that. That's a whole lot. What we've just cleared makes the hole that we pour our foundation in this month. And how secure our foundation is depends. We're going to find out 30 years. Think about that. 30 years. So make your foundation strong. Know where you're standing. Know who you're standing with. Know why you're standing there. Excuse me. I am not getting sick, really. I'm not. Just leave it at that. Know who you're standing with and know why you're standing. The who, what, when, where, why is going to be super fucking important right now for you to look at that. Know why you're doing what you're doing, who you're doing it with, and why. Are you aligned with that? And this goes from home. This goes from finances. You know, this is the time, man. You're laying down the foundation right now. If you need to make some financial changes, get rid of those bitches now because you should have shed that shit. So catch up. When you look at spirit guides, think about who you're being guided by. And are they a peaceful type of guide, or are they a war type of guide? Because if they're a war type of guide and they want you to burn the bridge down, maybe listen to the other side of your voice temporarily. Like, no, I'm going to wait just a minute. Like, get me through this next week or this next 2 weeks, and then we'll create a plan. We're going to do this with a plan. Because even with me being in Aries, I've had to take a step back this last week and a half and discern what's an illusion and what is not an illusion. And what do I really need to do working with the spirits that I work with? And I'm not even talking about the human population that I work with phone calls and friends and things like that. I'm talking about from a spirit side, like there's a lot of shit going on and there's a lot of energy spikes and there's a lot of negative things right now that are talking. There's a lot of human created demons by thought, word, and deed. And I do that on my podcast to not get into the religious definition or the spiritual even definition of demons or demons. Yeah, I'm strictly talking about the messes that we create by thought, word, and deed that make bigger messes in the universe. Those things are talking really loud. So if the script is repeating in your head, you're not a good person, or you're not worthy, or this person's talking shit, or there's this, or they're that, there's a good chance right now that you're being fed a bunch of bullshit because the spirits are playing. The demons are running amok. So spiritually, what does that mean? Love-wise, be careful. Oh, be careful right now. Don't jump into... February is not the month to jump fast and fierce. It really isn't. Like, think about your alternatives and think about what you're doing and be prepared, plan. Carla says, agreed. Yeah, this is not the month to jump ship unless you had a plan way back before February. Hello, how are you? Appreciate you joining. Talking about planetary alignment and disalignment and Neptune and Aries and some things like that. Be stable, be clean. Okay, be clean. This is the time to get rid of extra baggage. If you haven't already, you don't want the baggage cemented into your foundation. So, start shedding the stuff that you've put in piles to get rid of. Start getting rid of those piles. Emotionally, get rid of the stuff that no longer serves you. Jupiter is your favorite planet. I love that. I love that. At least it wasn't Neptune. And, he's, really not a planet, but I get it. I was looking for something. You put Jupiter as your favorite. What was I? There was something else I was going to read about that. And I had a note to read it and I don't know where my note went. So we're going to miss that. But for your foundation, look at love for yourself. Look at how you perceive other people. This is not, again, for those of you that are just now tuning in, because I'm watching the numbers fluctuate. This is not just like for a job. This is not just like for your marriage. This is every aspect. Look at yourself holistically. This is your foundation. You're not responsible to build anybody else's foundation. Hello, how are you? We're talking about foundations and that what you do in February, the basement that you poured, the foundation of your life after cleaning house in 2025, The foundation you set's going to be for the next 3 decades. So this, you have to take a holistic approach to this. You have to look at yourself in every aspect. And here's the thing, this isn't the time to manage how other people are pouring their foundations. This is the time for you to manage how you are pouring your own foundation. You see the difference there? Like, it's so easy when things turn to shit and we have chaos and we're spinning out to want to micromanage someone else's foundation. But you got to stay with your own and make sure, because of Aries and you know, the intensity of, let me find the name of it, the galloping mind and the nervous system red line, we're going to have to go, am I justified in this anger? Am I justified with what's going on? Is it really truly justified? Hello. Is it justified? Or is this the fire and the deception that I'm supposed to get caught up in so that I vibrate and then I go? Galloping mind races through and I get on that combustion. Oh my God, I'm riding that horse and boom, I explode because I got too upset or too this or too that. And I have an emotional outburst that cost me my job or my family or whatever. That's how unsettled things are right now. So you have to ride true. In with your spirit guides. My point there is, those of you that know, that have solid spirit guides, and you think you know, I mean, we all say we think we know who we're talking to, right? But we might not be, because there's no proof of that. And I'm not going to argue. That's a whole nother podcast, a whole nother time, right? But listen to the more peaceful things right now. Use your wise mind. Stay in wise mind. That's important. Not all the way emotional. Like, bring in your wise mind if you're 100% emotional, and don't use your wise mind. This is the time to start using your wise mind. Don't make emotionally blowing up type of decisions right now. And listen to, like I said, listen to the voices that are in your head. Listen to who you're talking to. That was backwards. Pay attention to who's talking to you. Inside your head, not like who's sitting next to you talking to. Pay attention to that too. That's always helpful. But pay attention to the voices in your head and where they're coming from. Because I swear, from me looking on the outside and dealing with people, I'm seeing a whole lot of people who are not behind the wheel driving right now. Their emotions are driving. There's things that are, there you go. There's other things. There's attachments. There's entities. There's negative thoughts that are driving these people. And I've had to take a step back too, because I have some very interesting entities that I work with, and interesting entities that, as you guys that have followed me on my pod, I've had on my show through the form of other spirits, and I've used ITC devices with them. And I have had to manage them this last week as well. And I'm very much aware that probably a good half the time this last week, I've at least been in the passenger seat. I've not been behind the wheel. And I might have a few times, several days, been in the back seat, not even halfway hearing what I'm doing and saying. Now I can force control, but at the same time, there's been a battle. There's a struggle. So attend to that within yourself. Salt baths, foot soaks, dry salt. You know, I use Epsom salts, and I use Epsom Himalayan, and I use Dead Sea salt, and it's all dry. I don't use any with any oils, and I just put my feet in it and sit. Or a grounding mat. Or a beautiful weekend like today, tomorrow, go outside, walk, hug a tree, dump your shit, release the energy, clear your head in the fresh air, open your windows. These are things that you can do. Make sure that when you go out into crowds or you're going into work, that you're using protection, like spiritually, because you're going to be bombarded with everybody else's trauma and everybody else's spin outs. It's really hard to stay calm when you got like 4 people spinning out with you. because spin picks up and it accelerates and things start sticking to it, and it kind of like becomes the twister where the cow, jumps in and the pickup truck jumps in and everything jumps in and it's all spinning around. It's going to fly out. You want to be the constant. So if you maintain the control and you maintain the thoughts and you do the work and try to stay a lot more, I would say it's okay to be emotional, but if you have to like left brain it for a while, it's okay. The icky shit. Yeah, Carla, icky shit is icky shit. I think I've told probably 6 people, serial sevens, 1,000 minus 7, 100 minus 7, wherever you want to start at. And it doesn't matter if you're good at math or not. Like if you get the wrong number, you're just going to keep subtracting 7s anyway. Doesn't have to be mathematically correct. Don't sweat that shit. But try to switch yourself in those emotional moments where you can get yourself under control and your thoughts under control, because control is going to be the big thing right now. Not allowing those switches to be flipped and to be distracted by everything that is out there, because there's a lot out there. And personally, I don't want cracks in my foundation. I want my foundation to be good and solid, because the next 3 decades is going to be my children and my children's children. And that's important, right? Because when you think about that, I have a 35-year-old is my oldest and soon to be 36. And you do the math, 30 years, that's like 66. And then that means my grandchild will be 46 and we'll have kids and possibly kids there. So look at the damage that can be done if you make the wrong choices. Not to put pressure on people, and not wrong as in good and bad, but like if you make an unhealthy, unhappy choice for yourself, there's a chance that you're going to be miserable. And nobody wants us to be miserable. The universe doesn't want us to be miserable. Our spirits don't want us to be miserable. Your ancestors don't want us to be miserable. We really need to be happy. We signed up for Earth because this is the playground. This is the place to get to experience emotions and sensations that they say are not on any other planet. And so for me, I want to have the best experiences that I can have here. I don't want the icky ones. And I've had enough. I'm sure Carla's going to say, yeah, me too. Like, I've had enough icky. I don't need more icky. I want fun. I want pleasure. I want traveling. I want to see beautiful things. I want to hear beautiful music. So my foundation better be pretty fucking solid for me to be able to do that. Does that make sense? Like, I'm hoping that resonates with some of you out there, because it's a lot. And it's a ton to take in. It's really is a shit ton to take in. I mean, that was, the bulk of what I wanted to talk about today. And, because I've seen so much of this, and I think there's so much going on in the world that it's crazy. It's crazy. Carlos says, absolutely. The emotions out there are crazy. People out there are fearful. Fear is, everything seems to be fear-based, and that's not a good way for society to be at all. Nobody needs to be based in fear. Fear is an abnormal way to look at things. It's not a normal way. We shouldn't live in fear. And we need to be so conscious that we don't need to live in fear. We need to breathe and look at it rationally and look at it through our eyes and not always other people's eyes, because perceptions are different and each person has their own perceptions. Okay, that's what I was going to cover. We still got 20 minutes, and I don't shorten my podcast. I said an asundery of other things. So here's the next thing I'm going to talk about. This is really weird. Okay, wanted to share this with you. For those of you that follow me in the semi-paranormal metaphysical world and know that I do shows and I speak at shows, one of the things that I talk about is anime and demonology. I love looking at stuff like that, and I think it's so cool to find things that are connected, right? And so I look at the spirituality of the animes, and I look at the religions of the anime, and there's a lot of Buddhist and there's a lot of Catholicism, and there's other religions sprinkled into most Korean and Japanese anime, and even Netflix anime. So, because that's just the backstory for the anime. And most anime starts out manga, and if it's manga, then it's traditionally put in there too. So, started and finished a show, a series, and it is a Netflix show, so you can watch it on Netflix, and it's Dora Hedora, and that's spelled Dorohedoro, and it's really a fun show. Not probably for kids under 13 or 14, maybe 15, depending on how you're raising your kids, but it's super bloody. It's super fun. There's a crocodile head dude. There's a whole lot of stuff there. But one of the things that they are using is it's a magic show, like it's conjuring, and there's all these characters, and they wear masks, which, you know, I won't spoil it for you, but the masks definitely have a meaning there. And you get partway through the show, and right now there's only one season to it. I think there's 15 episodes. As they talk about the power of blood. And the whole thing is they're trying to work with blood because the plaque has the magic, and the people who have the plaque have the most magic. And so me being me and being who I've been in the past in healthcare, I had to go down the rabbit hole with that, and I did. And so I use two different AI sources for my information. I have ChatGPT and I have Claude. Those are the two that I personally like. Claude doesn't do any pictures, doesn't do any animation or any videoing. Claude is... Thank you, Van. I'm embarrassed now. Claude doesn't censor. ChatGPT will edit and will put you in a box. Like, there are certain things you can't talk about, and there's certain places it will not go at all. Claude is very open. It is a very open forum, and you can do ritual work and all kinds of stuff on Claude. So I put that in there, and I'm thinking statins. Like, how many people out there are taking statins? And statins do what? Statins remove the plaque in your bloodstream. Yes, we've been told that plaque is not a good thing. Plaque builds up in the arteries. But plaque has other things that it does as well. And when you take the statins, there's definitely a list of side effects, right? So these are my notes on that. And I wanted to share this because I find this absolutely fascinating. In Dora Hedora, the plaque is indicative of somebody who has a high magic rate. They can perform magic acts. You're excited? Carla, I love Claude. I mean, I still am paying for ChatGPT too, and I don't know why, because they both say the same thing, except for one limits me and the other one doesn't. But so far I still have kept both of them. So I asked for the relationship of blood, of plaque, and of statins, of Dora Hedora, and the premise that magic users have special blood or plaque buildup in their systems that allow the magic to flow. That was the concept. That's actually what one of the scientists on the show said. So I used that as a direct quote. The premise also goes, normal humans don't have plaque. The plaque in the blood is what makes magic possible. Doesn't mean you're always going to have it. You have to learn it, right? But without the plaque, you're powerless. The show plays on the idea that magic is not just a skill. It's a biological. It's in the blood. It's in the body. and it's something you have or don't have. Now, when you look at the real world parallel to this, here's where I go down the rabbit hole at 2 o'clock in the morning. Put that metaphor in real life. If you go conspiracy theory, plaque in the human body, arterial plaque, calcification, biofilm it's not just a disease marker. What if it's also a biological marker for other things? Think about that. What if it's a biological for something else? What if the buildup of certain minerals and proteins and albumins and biofilms in the body is connected to heightened intuition, psychic ability, and spiritual sensitivity, as well as energy flow, as some traditions call it, chi, prana, life force, the ability to access non-ordinary states of consciousness. And what if the medical establishment's push to remove the plaque through statins, chelation therapy, aggressive cardiovascular intervention is not just about preventing heart attacks, but it's also about suppressing the body's natural ability to hold or channel spiritual energy and power? Is this not a weird thought when the veil is shifting and more people are awakening and more people are hearing voices and more people are seeing what's really out there? Hypothetically, I mean, this is all hypothetical, right? Hypothetically, plaque, calcification, crystalline structures in the body are conductors of electricity. So, even if you didn't know that, you did know that, because that's why we collect crystals, right? We do our metaphysical work with crystals. Well, your plaque is a calcification. It is a crystalline structure within the body. Carl is excited about this. Thank you. I love that. So crystals are conductors of energy used in technology, healing, and spiritual work. They're storage devices for memory, information, and frequency. They're in our cell phones, right? They're amplifiers, and they magnify vibration, intention, and signal. What if the calcification in the body, especially around the pineal gland, the heart, and your major blood vessels, acts as an antenna, receiving spiritual and psychic information? What if it's a battery storing energetic charges? What if it's a lens focusing intention, magic, and will? And what if the medical system knows this and actively works to remove this? And what if I disappear in the next 24 hours because I've said this online? Whoa, I would be like fucking famous. But anyway, what if? Think about that. Statins, the anti-magic drug, they lower cholesterol, they reduce arterial plaque, and they prevent a heart disease, right? I mean, those are good things, right? However, they deplete our CoQ10, or energy production in cells. People feel drained. They reduce the inflammatory response. Inflammation is part of the body's response system, including spiritual and energetic sensitivity. It interferes with the okay, here I go with big words. Mevalonate pathway, which produces not just cholesterol, but also vital compounds involved in cellular signal. Hi, Patty. Thanks for joining. The side effects of statins include fatigue, energetic depletion, and muscle weakness, loss of physical power, cognitive decline, brain fog, memory issues. The pineal gland is affected by cholesterol metabolism, and depression, disconnection from vitality, life force, and spiritual energy. What? What if those aren't side effects? What if those are the intended effects? Do you see where the conspiracy shit will take you? What if that was intended to lower our vibration? What if that is intended to dull our intuition? What if it's a disconnect for you to your spiritual power? Make you compliant? Make you tired and too exhausted to fight? And make you dependent on other medications in the medical system? The pineal gland, the seat of magic, is the third eye in spiritual traditions. A calcified structure in most adults, guess what? Fluoride, processed foods, and environmental toxins cause that calcification. It's the producer of DMT. What? The spirit molecule, the gateway to altered states. Photosensitive, responds to light, regulates the circadian rhythm, and connects to cosmic cycles. This calcification of the pineal gland is blamed for loss of spiritual connection, reduced dream recall, inability to access altered states, and disconnection from intuition. The mainstream medical narrative is pineal calcification is normal aging. It's harmless. Don't worry about it. Carla says, crazy. That's when I lost it. Right? Like this all from a show. It's in there. It's in plain sight, people. This is a Netflix show. This is not a made in Korea, made in Japanese, made in Japan, anime. This is a Netflix anime. It's fucking right there. They stood there in the lab and they said this. And all I did was put it together and run it through Claude. Crazy, huh? But in esoteric traditions, decalcifying the pineal gland restores your spiritual sight. Hi, Nancy. Go back and listen. Thank you for joining. Okay, let me reread. I can't talk. Let me reread that. In esoteric traditions, decalcifying the pineal gland restores your spiritual sight. It reopens the third eye. It allows you to see again. Now, that is not even rabbit hole. That's straight from like medical textbook, right? What if both are true? What if calcification is both? A sign of disconnection when it's caused by toxins, fluoride, and poor diet, and a necessary structure for magic when it's natural, intentional, or part of your body's energetic system. Right? Makes you think. What if the goal isn't to remove all the plaque or calcification? What if the goal is to have just the right kind? And statins remove all of it. It removes the bad and the good. Because that's what it does. It goes in and cleans everything out, right? So when we go back to the show, Dora Hedora, the connection is in this. Magic users have something in their blood that normal humans don't. That something allows them to channel magic. Without it, you are powerless. In the real world, what if certain people have certain types of plaque, calcification, or biofilm in their system because they have higher nutrition, stronger energy flow, greater spiritual sensitivity, and the ability to access magic, intention, manifestation, healing, and psychic ability? And what if the medical system's push to remove all plaque is a way to suppress that ability? A way to keep people disconnected from their power. A way to ensure the population stays compliant, sick, and dependent on pharmaceuticals. Full-form conspiracy. Here is the speculative narrative. Now, notice my words. I'm not quoting this as fact. This is conspiracy. And this is speculative narrative. I'm calling it exactly what it is. Don't read anything more into it. First, plaque and calcification in the body can act as a biological antenna, battery, and lens for spiritual and energetic work. Secondly, the pineal gland, heart, and major blood vessels are key nodes in the body's energetic system. 3, calcification in these areas, when it's the right kind, enhances intuition, spiritual connection, and the ability to channel energy and produce magic. 4, the medical establishment already knows this. 5, they've created a narrative that all plaque is bad, all calcification is disease, and it must be removed immediately. 6, statins are the primary tool for this removal, but they don't just remove bad plaque. They remove all plaque, including the structure that allows for function, energetic function, and heightened spirituality. 7, the result, a population that is energetically depleted, chronic fatigued, spiritually disconnected, to no intuition, no third eye, no access to altered states, cognitively impaired, brain fogged with memory loss, dependent on medication. Once on statins, you're on them for life. This keeps people powerless, no magic, no manifestation, and no spiritual access. 2, sick, independent on the medical system. And 3, compliant, too tired and too disconnected to resist all of the above and the things that you've noticed that have been wrong with you. In Dora Hedora terms, the medical system is removing the plaque that makes magic possible and calling it healthcare. The counter argument, because I'm not one-sided and because I do realize that most people don't chase the rabbit deep down into the hole. I do, but most people don't even see the rabbit. So let me play the counterpart to that now, because I'll do that. 3M's, thinking 3M and PFAs. Yes, Nancy, exactly. Exactly. You're right on. Obviously, this is speculative, and this is a mainstream medical view. Arterial plaque causes heart attacks and strokes. This is well documented. You can't fight that. There's stuff out there about that, right? Statins save lives. Millions of people take them without an issue. That doesn't mean anything to me, but I'm playing devil's advocate there, so that may mean something to you. Calcification of the pineal gland is a benign aging process. No evidence that it affects spirituality or spiritual ability. And that's not wrong. Plaque can kill you. It does. Heart disease is very, very real. And those of us that suffer from that and have lost family members because of that know that it is very real. Statins do reduce cardiovascular events in certain populations. Yes, and damn deed, they do. They do damage along the way, but so would a heart attack and stroke. Good argument, right? But that doesn't mean that the conspiracy theory is entirely baseless. Some plaque is protective or functional. Not all calcification is pathological. Statins are overprescribed. Many people who are on them don't even need it. Like, just change your diet. Some people don't even need to change their diet. The medical system benefits financially from keeping people on lifelong medication. That is capitalism. That has nothing to do with conspiracy. That is purely capitalism. There's a spiritual and energetic component to health that Western medicine ignores because it can't be measured or monetized. That's fact also. The Dora Hedora metaphor fully applied when you look at the whole thing. Magic users have something in their blood. Normal humans don't. If you're born without it, you're powerless. If you have it, you can possibly do magic. I'm going to stop right there. Hang on. Nancy says, and the issue with the stuff they dumped into Cottage Grove land, They grew up there. Cancer clusters are real. They are still discovering. Yes. Yes, they are. And they knew this. They knew this. Like we know they knew this. That was not an oops. In the real world conspiracy version, some people have natural calcification or plaque that enhances spiritual ability. Others don't. But the medical system doesn't differentiate. They just remove it all, which means that people who are naturally psychic intuitive lose that ability because the biologic structure that supported it is gone. People who could have developed those abilities never do because statins, fluoride, and processed foods prevent the right kind of calcification from forming. And the result is a population of magically neutered humans, just like Dora, except the real world, it's not genetic, it's pharmaceutical. Think about that for a minute. The result of what is happening is the magically neutering of human beings. We're doing it pharmaceutically. What do you think about this? And I can't give advice. I'm not a medical practitioner on this show. You know, that's between you and your doctor and your family and your decision. But if you can, work with a holistic doctor. If you believe in the magic theory, if you believe any of this, avoid statins if possible. If possible, if you can change your diet, if you can work with a holistic doctor, because not all cholesterol is bad. We know that. And not all plaque needs to be removed. And there are natural ways to support cardiovascular health through diet and exercise and supplements. And if you're on statins already and you can't get off of them, then check with your practitioners to make sure it's safe, but take CoQ10 to counteract the energy depletion. And see with medical supervision if there's something else that you can use that's not as removing of everything. Decalcify the pineal gland, but don't remove, you want to take some of it off, but you want to leave some of it. Remove the toxic stuff from the fluoride, your heavy metals, your processed food buildup. Avoid fluoridated toothpaste. Avoid tap water. Detox with chlorella or spirulina or cilantro. Use iodine. Sun gaze every morning. That doesn't mean stare directly at the sun. I need to give a disclaimer on that. I mean, that just means go outright and let yourself absorb. Tilt your head up to the sky is what that means. Like, don't look at the sun. God's sake, somebody's going to come and say that I said, look at the sun. Nancy says, not a profitable idea to cure people, as you pointed out. Yeah, still buying up cures to keep them off the market. What is the difference between generic and there is none? I mean, I'm going to be really honest. Generic drugs are some of them come from the same companies that are labeling. They're just white label drugs. And if fillers, sometimes it's the chemical filler is the only thing that's different in that. So what they're talking about, taking out, look at the kind of cholesterol you have. And if your highs are high and your lows are low and everything's where it's supposed to be, then it's good. But they'll put people on drugs because the good cholesterol is high and they want to strip it all out. And that's where you have to look. So it's not so much looking at the drug, it's looking at your blood work and having somebody explain your blood work to you. And run your blood work through Chat GPT or Claude, because it will tell you straight up what's going on. Like they'll tell you that that's good and you don't want to remove that, or that's bad based on your numbers. Don't aim for zero calcification. Allow some of the crystals to stay in there, because we talked about what crystals do, right? There are battery. They help direct. They help the whole metaphysical process. And if we're removing all the crystals from our body, then we're draining the entire system. Support your system's energetic. Thank you, whoever just sent me that. Hang on. Support your body's energetic system. Build the right kind of plaque. Eat mineral-rich foods, seaweed, bone broth, greens. Sunlight, vitamin D supports it in the right places. So get your sun, natural sunlight. Do energy work, Qigong, Reiki, breath work, activate the flow, yoga, Kundalini to get your hips open and get your body moving so that everything flows. Trust your intuition. If you're drained, disconnected, and spiritually offline, this is data. It's your body telling you to listen. Do that. Is all of this true in a scientific sense? Probably not provable with current research, but it's an interesting lens to look through to view the medical system's relationship to spiritual power. Dora gives us a metaphor. Plaque is the biological basis for magic. Removing the plaque, you remove the power. The real world gives us the mechanism. The statins remove the plaque. The statins cause the fatigue, the cognitive decline, and the disconnection. So I ask you, is this a coincidence? Is this conspiracy? Was it out there in plain sight? Does it track the experiences that you've had? Because sometimes a lot of things are out there in plain sight, and it's a one-liner in a movie. It's a one-liner in a show. And if you happen to catch it, most people don't think a second thought about it. Connect the dots. You have to connect the dots. They're not going to connect the dots for you. The medical system for sure isn't going to connect the dots for you. It's not going to happen. Definitely track. Absolutely. Like when you hear something, when you see something, look it up. Whether you trust AI or not, it's going to give you an answer. Go down that hole long enough to see what's going on. And don't be afraid of the information you're going to get. If you have questions about this, take that to your doctor. If your doctor gives you some medical bullshit, expect that, because that's what they're trained in that big farm system. They're trained to think and work with big farm. Nancy says, yep, our company produces for Walmart. I have to wonder why they would add when making the original. Experimentation in the 60s and 70s. Yeah. Well, it went further than that. It went way back. I mean, you get to MK Ultra, that went all the way back. There was things before MK Ultra. You want to read an interesting rabbit hole, do some research on MK Ultra, and you get into like the lead singer Jim Morrison. You get into Jim Morrison, and you get into Jimi Hendrix and some of those guys, and those were MK Ultra kids. So their parents, you go back further than that, was when their parents were experimental subjects, and the kids were too. So if you're going down that rabbit hole, do some searches. Definitely start looking into this stuff yourself, and know that, you're not crazy by doing that. And that's how we learn. Hang on a second. I'm trying to field messages from multiple sources. Okay, that's like something else. So we'll put that aside, and I'll answer that in a little bit. So I hope that brought some things to your attention. First of all, hold on to the damn fire horse. The 17th, the 20th, the 13th. So, the 13th, the 17th, the 20th, the 26th, all of February, getting your foundation built, clearing out the rest of your crap in the basement. And if you've not shed those scales, shed your skin, get rid of the baggage, get rid of the shit, because your foundation needs to be solid for the next. It's gonna be your foundation for the next 30 fucking years. So get ready for that. That's a lot. 30 years is a lot. We talked about that. 30 years. And start watching your movies and your shows with a little grain of salt, but also listen to the words they're saying, and look into those lines that you kind of go, huh? What was that all about? Tell me more. Put it in your phone, put it into your AI. Do a Google search on that stuff to see what it's about. I appreciate all of you guys that stuck with me through tonight and watched this. I appreciate the time, your space, your heartfelt. Cleaning out the basement. Yay, Nancy. Now set your foundation for what you pour this month is going to be good for the next 30 years. You got to make it through 30 years with it. So it's got to be strong. So make sure you got your basement cleaned out good and there's nothing going to jump out in your newly poured foundation. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart for following me. Hit the like and subscribe if you haven't already. You guys are my blessing. You guys are, you keep me going. You help me rock. The spiritual speakeasy would not be what it is if it was not for people to get on and debate and comment and like and follow and make me laugh or make me think. Send me something to look up and I'll figure it out. I love that kind of stuff. It's so good to see you again too. 30 years, you're under 65. Woo-hoo. I said I was 63 and it's like, okay, that means 93. That's a lot, big foundation. I love y'all. Same bat time, same back station next week. Be there, be square. Love y'all. Good night. Oh, it's Super Bowl. Go watch the Super Bowl too. And eat lots of fun food.